Have you ever found yourself saying the words, I expect this person to do something? If you have ever expected somebody to do something or expected something from someone, then this video might be for you. I was having an important conversation with someone today, and we were talking about expectations. And an important thing to remember about expectations is that oftentimes you're going to be let down. You're going to feel let down. And the reason that is because another person can't live up to your expectations. And that's not just because your individual expectations are too high. It's simply because your reality isn't matching their reality. And there's nothing we can do to force that to happen. And if there's anything I've learned in years of therapy, it's that expectations unmet lead to resentment. And resentments are a really powerful emotional experience. When we resent someone, oftentimes we have a lot of anger, there's a lot of hurt there, and not a whole lot of acceptance, not a whole lot of forgiveness. And so if you're dealing with resentment towards somebody because you feel like you expected them to behave some way and they didn't, then I'd like to encourage you to listen to this video and to try to challenge yourself with some of the things that that me and this individual had talked about today. And one of the really important things to remember with expectations is that the other person, it's not that they don't want to be in your life. It's not that they don't want to be helpful. It's not that they don't want to help you meet your needs. It's oftentimes because it's not what they need or it's not what they want for their life. And that can be really hard when it's somebody that you love. All right, letting them have their own experience. But the thing we have to remember about our own individual experience in the realms of expectations is that when we hold an expectation over somebody, we aren't giving them the dignity to live their own life and make their own decisions. And so it's really important to give yourself the dignity, right, to make your own decisions. And I think everybody would agree with that. But it's also equally important to give other people their dignity, all right? That if you've requested something of them or you would like them to behave in a certain kind of way, but they're either incapable of it, don't want to, or aren't ready to, we have to give those people the dignity to make those decisions, even if that decision ultimately would be a mistake. And this is where the statement, give someone the dignity to make their own mistakes, comes from. And the reason that's so important is because if you feel let down by someone's behaviors because you expected them to behave some kind of way, and then you become resentful, you may find yourself behaving in ways that you don't like in yourself when you interact with that person. And this is one of the biggest problems with resentment. It's one of the biggest reasons people find themselves in pain in their relationships is they had a high expectation, the expectation wasn't met, now they feel resentful, and they don't do anything with the resentment. And so ultimately, in order to let go of expectations, we typically have to look at our resentments and ask ourselves, am I willing to let this go? Am I willing to let go of control, let go of the outcome, let go of the expectation? And that requires some pretty deep insight, some pretty deep work into looking at ourselves. It probably won't happen overnight, but on some cases it can. And I would encourage you, one of the really powerful ways I utilize this in my practice with my clients is I encourage them to journal and take an inventory, not just of their daily life, but of their relationships and where they have expectations in relationships and where they could work to let go of those expectations. Because it's not, like I said in the beginning, that that person doesn't want to connect with you. It's that that person isn't going to meet your expectations, because oftentimes those expectations are based on what we want and need, not based on what the other person wants and needs. And so more often in relationships, the importance is to find compromise, not to connect on expectations, right? We got to find compromise with each other. So we find that compromise by not letting ourselves get into big reactions and big resentments over let down expectations. In an interesting example that I'll kind of wrap this up on is we were talking about long-term expectations on family members in our lives, like things that we would have expected of our parents or things we would have expected of siblings and so on and so forth. And one of the things we kind of ended on was, at a certain point in the healing process, I stopped looking at all of the ways in which that person was letting me down. I stopped looking at all of the ways in which maybe that person wasn't capable of doing things the way I wanted them to, or wasn't willing to do things the way I wanted to, or wanted them to. And I started looking at the ways in which they were trying to be a part of my life. And so I want to encourage you guys today, and I thought it was just a powerful conversation and something I wanted to relay, is that if we start looking for the ways that people are trying, the good deeds that people are doing in our lives, the things that people are doing to try to connect with us, I think if we spend more time taking a look there, I think we'll let go of a lot of difficult emotions. I think we can let go of a lot of pain and a lot of hurt. Now, if somebody's hurt you really bad, that's a different conversation. And as always, I would encourage you to reach out for therapy. I would encourage you to look for support in your area. And so, we don't want to discredit the depth of pain that can occur when expectations and resentments are really high. So if you related to any of this, if you like this message, I'd love to hear more from you so that we can address this as an ongoing conversation. As always, if you are listening to this and you struggle in any way with substances to an unmanageable degree, I would encourage you to look for AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or NA, Narcotics Anonymous, in your area for free support groups. Those are the individuals that are going to help you find long-term sobriety and lasting recovery. If you're a family member of someone who is struggling with substance use, then I would encourage you to look into the program of Al-Anon. It's a 12-step recovery program for friends and family members of alcoholics, and it will help you get the answers and support you need so that you can feel some peace and serenity in your life. But those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.